All right, 7.6. Factoring ax squared plus bx plus c, the leading coefficient is not 1. So we're going to have some number out here in front of this x squared that is not 1. And so we're going to look at some methods or ways of dealing with that. First, most important step, make factoring easier. Factor out the greatest common factor if possible. Okay, so first thing I notice is, okay, first you need to make sure it's in standard form. Okay, if it's not in standard, I don't know what's going on. If it's not in standard form, you need to get it that way. So meaning you want the x squared term first, and then the x term, and then your constant last. Constant is just our way of saying there's no x in that last term. So we want to make sure it's in that version first. If the leading coefficient, the number in front of your x squared, is a 1, then factor it just like we did section 7.5. Okay, but if it's something other than a 1, we want to factor out the greatest common factor if possible. And we always should be looking for that. Meaning I want to look at all three terms. First, I need to identify all three terms. So here's a term, here's a term, here's a term. So we have our term 5x squared, we have a term 15x, and we have a term 10. I want to be looking for all common factors.
Thank you.
So I want to be looking for if they have any common factors. First, look at the variable. Well, this has got an x to the second. That's got an x. That looks promising. This last one has no x. Since they don't all have an x, I can't factor out the x. So now I look at the numbers. We've got a 5, a 15, and a 10. I was looking for, is there any number that goes into all three of them? Yes, 5. So 5 is my greatest, 5 is a common factor, so I'm going to undistribute the 5 out. So we'll write 5 times, well, 5 times what is going to get me 5x squared? Well, the x squared. Okay, plus 5 times what is going to give me 15x? Well, I need a 3, because 5 times 3 is 15, and then I'm going to need the x. So if I distribute this in, so far we're good. There's 5x squared, there's 15x, and then last plus 5 times what gets me the 10, the 2. Might be like, yay, I'm done. No, that was just step 1. Now you want to look to see if what remains factors. So we factored out this 5. This 5 is just going to float out here as a factor. It's what we call a constant factor. It doesn't have any variable or anything in it. And then we want to look at, does this factor? So basically flip back to what we did in 7.5 and look to see, can this, what's left, factor? Well, the leading coefficient's 1, which is nice. So I want things that multiply to give me 2. Well, 1 and 2 is it. And I want to add to get the 3. Well, 1 plus 2 is 3. So it looks like it's 1 and 2. So that tells me this bit is going to factor into x and x, x plus the 1, x plus the 2. Now I'm going to check this. I'm going to distribute it out over here, x plus 1 times x plus 2. Make sure it works. So that gives me x squared plus 2x plus 1x plus 2. Yep, when I add these middle terms, I get the 3x. We have x squared plus 3x plus 2. Yep, that was back where I started. Oh, can't forget this 5 that we originally factored out. So here it is completely factored. This, in fact, has 3 factors. It has a 5, an x plus 1, an x plus 2. But this 5, again, doesn't have any variables on it. It's just that constant. So there it is completely factored. Okay, now I'd like you to go ahead and get to work on page 395, 4 through 8 even.